Hey, busy brains, Brian King here. I read a book not too long ago called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I put the link in the description. I highly recommend you pick up a copy and devour this thing. In it, the author has this very accessible metaphor that he uses to describe how we set limits on ourselves. First, let me give you a little context. As you know, I work with people that have busy, scattered, creative brains, typically referred to as people with ADHD, dyslexia, or none of the above. They just have so much going on in their head they can't focus. Well, that describes the folks I work with, but let's look at the average human being. We have a tendency to think big, want big, but we don't set ourselves up for that. We create what Gay Hendricks refers to as the upper limit, or the upper limit problem. Think about how a thermostat works. Let's say you crank it up to 72. That tells the thermostat that you want it no hotter in that room than 72 degrees. So what happens when it exceeds that level? You've run the oven, you left the door open on a hot day, the temperature of the room rises above 72. What happens? Furnace shuts off because the thermostat says, no. We can't go any higher than this. We've set this limit. It's forbidden. So the furnace shuts off until things get back down to 72 or lower. Then what does it do? If it gets lower, furnace kicks back on to bring it up to 72. Our brain works the same way, but in a much more self-sabotaging capacity. This is how it works, okay? You say, I want to make this much money every single month. But you silently say to yourself, man, that'll never happen. You kidding me? I'm lazy. I have ADHD, therefore I can't do more than this. I have dyslexia, so I can't do more than that. And you establish this upper limit that orders your brain to not exceed. So let's say you have this huge success, you have this awesome month, and you make more than you expected to make. Are you going to say, holy cow, I've exceeded my expectations. This is totally awesome. I guess I'm capable of more than I thought. Well, not if you have the upper limit problem. What your brain is going to do is say, holy hell, this is unacceptable. I don't know how to handle this because I've decided I can't do higher than this. So what are you going to tell yourself about that success? Oh, guess I was just lucky, man. Or, well, the world's really because of me. You helped a lot. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have succeeded. You kind of hand off responsibility or ownership of that success to something outside of you because you decided there's no way you could pull it off. In fact, what do you start doing? You start self-sabotaging to prevent yourself from learning from what you did to be successful that month because you need to bring your reality back into alignment with your upper limit. Make sense? But the reverse is also true. Let's say you say, I've got to make this much every single month, but then you're not doing it. You're not getting the results you want. You will suddenly kick it into high gear and say, man, this is unacceptable to me because the limit I set for myself is up here and I better kick ass to achieve that level again, but no higher because my upper limit is my status quo in my mind. This is a fixed mindset, as Carol Dweck describes in her book, Mindset. You can tell I do a lot of reading here. But what I'm focusing on here is the big leap. Because what Gay Hendricks really spells out beautifully is how we set that limit for ourselves. And more importantly, how do you blow past it? First thing you need to do is know that it exists. It all begins with self-awareness. And once you can identify that and realize that's a pretty shitty thing to do to ourselves, you can then begin to dismantle it so that you can set higher goals and actually achieve them because you're not standing in your way anymore. Screw the diagnoses. I have ADHD, Asperger's, dyslexia, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, multiple sclerosis, all of these things that are supposed to be debilitating and hold me back. And don't get me wrong, they make my life really, really difficult. But I want to see just how far past the diagnosis I can push myself. Every time I'm told can't, I want to see, really? Is that the limit or is that your limit? I want to see what my limit is. And with very few exceptions, my limit is a hell of a lot further than your limit. And that's something that I really impress upon people who have the diagnosis. They'll find every article in the world, every justification to say, no, I disagree. I can't. I'm limited. You don't understand. I'm especially disabled. I'm sorry, I'm not going to join in that conversation with you. I'm interested in your potential, not your limitations. If you don't want to go further, that's on you, brother. But I am all about pushing my limits to see how far I can go. Because the farther I can go, the greater contribution I can make. And that's what I want my life to stand for. So again, I have put a link to The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks in the description, and I highly recommend that you go pick up a copy and read it. It is kick-ass. It is one of my favorite books on the planet, and you will thank me once you've read it. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate your time and attention. Please share this with anybody that can benefit from it. And until next time, this has been Brian. We'll talk again soon.